You know, the Amarillo High and Monterey game certainly kind of stole the headlines for good reason. You know, it's interesting now that Amarillo High won that game. And, you know, Tascosa had beaten Monterey earlier in the year, ironically, when they were #1 ranked then as well. And then they dropped from that top spot, then went back to the top spot, and you have Amarillo High knocking them off again. So 2 AISD schools beating the #1 team in the state, which just happens to be in the same district, is pretty phenomenal.
It is, and I mean, I think both of them had the power of home court advantage. I mean, that is something that has been real, especially when you talk about the Amarillo High and the Lubbock Monterey and the Tascosa girls. They've won on their home floor every time. 2-2 split between them. So this district race is going to shape out to be pretty interesting. I mean, is it safe to say that when the season's all said and done, we could be looking at a 3-way tie at the top?
I think a tri-championship is coming. I do. I don't, you know, I guess they just hand them all 3 a trophy. I don't know how that works, but yeah, they'll more than likely end up tied. You know, Amarillo High has only 1 regular season game left. Tascosa Monterey have 2 left. And they'll be favorites in all of those, you know, no question about it. Yeah, rightfully so. But the home court advantage was definitely big in this district race. You know, I went down to Monterey for both the Tascosa game and the Amarillo High game and called that on TPSN. And, you know, their fans turned out in full force just like the local fans here did. So why not? I mean, you're not going to find any better girls high school basketball, I don't think, in the state.
Man, and I mean, those crowds are electric, and it seemed like there was, and you saw it from both sides. I didn't think that we would see a lot of Lubbock fans out here.
Well,
they sure did, and I mean, I can only expect that, like you said, Amarillo High is going down to Lubbock. There was a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, but there's a couple similarities in that game. One that stands out, a big shot from the Lady Sandy sharpshooter, Bella Edwards. In the corner, clock winding down, 3rd quarter. This is not the first time this happened against this team.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Bella hit almost an identical shot in the regional quarterfinal game last year down at Wayland Baptist in Plainview against Monterey. And, of course, the Lady Sandys won that despite 50 from Malia Chavez. But, yeah, I didn't realize, you know, Bella obviously remembered, and she put that on social media. But it was a step back, kind of fall away 3-pointer, and she buried that one last year and almost identical. And, as you said, huge bucket. That last possession of the 3rd quarter, you know, was just remarkable by Amarillo High the other night. Just working the ball. Coach Williams, you know, and his staff, man, they're some great coaches. And they spread the floor out, made Monterey, you know, kind of chase, and they were kind of being careful. But the Lady Sandys, you know, against Chavez and Cole and Monterey, you got to be really careful with the basketball. And to hold that ball for as long as they did, and then, you know, with passes and positioning, and then to get Bella in the corner. And I was starting to say open, but she really wasn't open. She had a defender in her face, but then to hit that step back 3-pointer, that was big. And then I've been watching the replay this week, as a lot of fans probably have been, or hope they will, on TPSNsports.com. And, you know, Ella Brown hit some huge trays. And I hadn't really seen her step up in crucial moments as much as she did in that game, but she was big. And then Tyler Held, you know, she's amazing. She got 2 crucial baskets down the stretch in the lane of all places. You know, what is she, 5'5"? I don't know how tall she 5'8" maybe. I don't want to shortchange her there, but you know, she can take it inside, and she got 2 big buckets in the paint down the stretch. So, you know, you had to have that kind of performance to beat the #1 team in the state, and they got it. Yeah,
and I mean, it's just momentum now, right? Like you mentioned, 1 game left until the postseason. It's going to be a little bit of a different shakeout, obviously, with the Division I, Division II. I've heard, like we mentioned, with Bella Edwards hitting down the regional quarterfinal, we won't be able to see an Amarillo High Lubbock Monterey meeting in the playoffs, which is kind of sad this season.
It is a little bit of a downer. Yeah, it would have been cool to see either that or Tascosa and Monterey play, you know. But it is what it is, so let's settle instead for a regional final between Amarillo High and Tascosa. How's that?
I like that. I like
too.
I mean, they as well, like we talked about, one on their home floor and then lost on the road. You never know with these 3.
It'll be a neutral side if they meet again. Now that's a long way down the road, so we won't get too far ahead of it. And there's great teams in Region 1. Man, it's one of the toughest, if not the toughest region in the state. And I don't know about anybody else, but I hope Monterey does the same thing in Division II. I think a lot of people are pulling for Leah Chavez and Monterey. Maybe not everyone, but but just from a broadcaster standpoint, I have thoroughly enjoyed covering her, and I'm kind of glad to say, based on what I think she'll do in the future, that, hey, I got to call her game.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty cool.
I mean, how often do you get to see the #1 prospect in the country?
Well, it's never happened here locally that I know of, anyway, at least in my broadcast career. And, again, people may or may not like her, her attitude, or, but if you're that good, you're gonna have some attitude.
Exactly. Yes.
And I've gotten to talk with her dad a couple of times, and like I say what you will, she's a phenomenal talent.
Absolutely.
And I think that we're all privileged to be able to have seen her in her high school career, and I wish nothing but the best for her in the future.
I'm excited to see what happens. Obviously, her senior year, so it's the last time that we get to see her come into our neighborhood. And I mean, that's the same way I feel like with a lot of these guys.